I am almost 17 years old, and I have no idea where my life is going. I don't have my entire future figured out. I don't know where I'll live or what I'll be doing 5 years from now. And I think that's probably true for a lot of people my age. But there are already things I've learned that I wish I understood sooner. So instead of pretending like I have my life figured out, I want to tell you about some of the things I've realized as a teenager and why they made me start this YouTube channel in the first place. The first thing I regret is wasting time. I think one of the easiest things you can do as a teenager is convince yourself that you have unlimited time, like telling yourself you'll eventually start something tomorrow, and because you're young, eventually feels like it's a million years away. There have been plenty of times where I knew I should be doing something, but instead I would sit there watching videos, playing games, scrolling, or doing basically anything except the thing I actually wanted to accomplish. The problem is that when you spend so much time consuming, you never actually create anything. That's one of the biggest reasons I started YouTube. The second thing I regret is not learning how to control my impulses sooner. There are things online that can become habits really easily, especially when you're young. And I think one of my biggest mistakes was letting certain impulses like lust control my time and attention. The more you give into something, the easier it can become a habit. And eventually, you'll realize you're not making the decision anymore. You're just doing it automatically. For me, learning to recognize that and actually take control over my lust has been important. Not because you have to become perfect overnight, and it applies to way more than just one habit. It applies to your phone, your games, social media, basically anything that can constantly pull your attention away from what you actually want to do. You don't need to completely change your life in one day, but just become aware of what controls your attention, and change your environment when you can. Slowly build the ability to make your own decisions instead of letting your impulses make them for you. Because if I'm going to build the life I want, I don't want to be controlled by every temporary urge that comes along. I want to be the one making the decisions. I wanted to stop just watching other people build things and actually try to build something myself. Even if nobody watches, even if I fail, at least I'll know I tried. The third thing I regret is not realizing that you have to take care of yourself. When I say this, I'm not talking about trying to look like someone else or becoming obsessed with how you look. I'm talking about the basics like getting enough sleep or eating healthier foods, things like that, taking care of yourself. When you feel better physically, it becomes a lot easier to focus on everything else you're trying to do. And I think that's something a lot of teenagers overlook because we assume we'll always have enough energy. But your habits start adding up. The way you treat yourself now can make a huge difference in how you feel. The third thing I regret is not trying hard enough in school. I used to think that school was just something you had to get through. Do the assignment, get the grade. And obviously school isn't everything, but your grades are going to determine your entire life. And obviously school isn't everything. Your grades aren't going to determine your entire life, but I think there is something valuable about learning how to actually put effort into something, even when you don't feel like doing it. Discipline doesn't only apply to school, it applies to literally everything. If you can learn how to sit down and do something you're supposed to do instead of constantly waiting until you feel motivated, that skill follows you everywhere. And I'm still working on this myself. I don't have a perfect study routine, I'm still procrastinating sometimes, and I'm still figuring things out. But I'm starting to realize that I don't want to look back at high school and think, I could have tried harder. The fourth thing I regret is not getting out of my comfort zone. This is probably one of the hardest things because it's so easy to stay quiet and not do something because you're worried about looking stupid. I've done this many times. And I think a lot of people my age do it because we're constantly worried about what everyone else thinks. But here's the thing, most people aren't thinking about you nearly as much as you think they are. Everyone is worried about themselves, so you might as well try. Make the YouTube channel you've been thinking about even if you're bad at it, because the only way you become comfortable doing something is by actually doing it. And that's another reason I started YouTube. Making videos is uncomfortable. Putting your voice out there is uncomfortable. Knowing people can judge something you made is very uncomfortable, right? But I'd rather experience that discomfort than spend years wondering what would have happened if I had just tried. And the last thing I regret is not having a direction. When I say this, I don't mean that you need to know exactly what career you want. I'm 16 and I definitely don't. I think it's unrealistic to expect a teenager to have their entire life planned out. But I do think you should start exploring, because you don't magically wake up one day with a purpose. You discover it by doing things. Starting this channel has helped me learn this. I don't know where it's going. Maybe this channel gets big, maybe it doesn't. Maybe I'll completely change what I want to do in a few years. I literally have no idea. But I'm going to try. I'm going to make videos. I'm going to learn how to edit and communicate. And maybe, years from now, I'll look back at these videos and see how much I've changed. To be honest, that's what I want this channel to be. Just me documenting the process of figuring it out. Because I'm 16, I have no idea where my life is going. But for the first time, I'm actually trying to find out.